With November coming to an end, our war on the Advent Authority had officially reached its 8-month anniversary. Honestly, looking back on things, it was hard to imagine that so much had changed in such a short period of time. In the beginning, we had a dozen soldiers, a broken-down spaceship manned with a skeleton crew, and no allies to speak of. But now we were a veritable army, with allies and safe houses spread across 2/3 of the planet. There had been a time when overthrowing the Advent Authority had seemed like an impossible task, but now we had them on the run, and each day we seemed to come one step closer to finally bringing their reign to an end. Of course, Advent certainly wasn't going down without a fight. The Hunter was still out there somewhere, no doubt preparing his next big trap, and he was still coordinating specialized training programs and equipment upgrades intended to make his peacekeepers deadlier than ever. Fortunately, we had no shortage of allies. Between the spokesmen, the Reapers, the Skirmishers, and the Templars, we had a robust support network that provided us with numerous resources we never would have been able to acquire on our own. As we pushed into December, things moved along at a steady clip. Our scanning teams were tracking down more exploitable resources than ever before, bolstering our organization's continued growth. Our covert op teams were keeping even busier, gathering actionable intel and collecting new technologies from our allies around the globe. We were still suffering the occasional injury out in the field, but these days we never seemed to have any shortage of willing operatives. With all of the resources flowing into our coffers by that point, it only made sense to continue expanding our area of influence. We spent the better part of a week establishing a new communications hub in the New Arctic, and soon afterwards we sent out teams to officially meet with resistance groups in both West Asia and the Western United States. That meant that we finally had access to one of Advent's last research facilities, where they were still desperately trying to rebuild their precious Avatar project. By now, Advent had to know that we were coming, and according to our long-range scans, they had stationed numerous elite peacekeepers around the facility in question. But of course, we had plenty of elite units of our own, including the homegrown super soldiers who were quickly becoming a staple in many of our battle strategies. In this particular case, I decided to let our newest Psi Trooper take command of the mission. Deus seemed like the most stable of our psychic experiments, and thanks to his time working as a bartender on the Avenger, he seemed well liked by most of our other soldiers. I worked with Deus to put together a suitable squad for the mission, and in the end we decided to send in Legion and Rorschach to handle the close quarters fighting, Wojtek to handle the heavy support, Malachi to handle the range support, and Captain Dome, who was assigned the daunting task of trying to keep the squad alive. As always, the Grey Shirts were quick to toss around all manner of dire warnings about the high level of resistance we were likely to face in the field. But, as always, I had no reason to doubt my team's ability to get the job done. After all, we had done this sort of thing before. This was just another routine operation, but hopefully it would take us one more step towards finally ending this increasingly destructive conflict.
Resistance forces tipped us to the location of an alien facility tied to the Avatar project operating out of this area. We're going in to shut it down, permanently. Approach the target and place the X4 charges at the designated position. Then move to a safe distance for detonation. If we can take out that facility, we might just buy ourselves some time. -1-5. Target coordinates are locked in. Move to designated position and place the X4 charges. Estamos en una posición oculta.
Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to episode 39. Today we're taking on yet another facility raid. I think we've actually done 5 or 6 of these by this point, so we should probably have a pretty good idea of what to expect. Of course, what sets today's facility raid apart from all of the others is that this is the first time we're doing this mission on Legendary difficulty, so we're not entirely sure what to expect. At the moment, our basic strategy hasn't really changed a whole lot. We're not too far from the facility that we need to infiltrate, so our current plan is to get our guys up to the base of this plateau over here, and then next turn we'll move our entire squad up into an elevated position.
Hagámoslo.
Things are pretty quiet for the moment, but I'm pretty sure I heard the sound of an Andromedan towards the end of the alien turn. So that thing must be relatively close by. Let's go ahead and move some guys up onto the plateau. That should give us a better line of sight.
Move into position.
Well, it looks pretty clear out here, so let's bring up the rest of the squad.
Got it covered. Will do.
Uh-oh, hold on. Okay.
They've got our position. Troops spotted.
Unfortunately, we just lost the element of surprise and triggered an enemy pod. I ended up getting a little impatient and overextended, and now I'm paying the price. Fortunately, it looks like the pod we activated is pretty basic. It's just a priest and a trooper, so we might actually be able to take these guys out pretty quickly. We'll start off aggressively by having Legion blade rush that trooper. That'll give us a few more options to play with.
For the Templars.
Not bad. The trooper is still alive, but Legion will theoretically end up killing it with Blade Storm during the alien turn. It looks like the rest of our guys are just too far back to effectively contribute to this fight. I hate to use explosives this early in the battle, especially against a basic pod like this one. But I don't think we have much choice. Let's start off by tagging that priest with Malachi's plasma blaster. Hopefully this won't end up activating another pod. That took off about half the priest's health, but it's not nearly enough to take him down. We need to bring up some of our other guys and see if we can hit them with some indirect fire. Now that I think about it, Deus actually has a couple of abilities that don't need line of sight. Let's bring him up on top of the plateau and see what we can hit these guys with.
Let's move already.
I think Void Rift is probably the most obvious choice here. Not bad, but both enemies are still standing. We'll just have to hope that Henrik can take out the trooper with Blade Storm and block the priest's attack with parry. There goes the trooper.
I'm being flanked.
Oh, and the priest ended up skipping his turn. Henrik will move up and finish him off. Not only does that give Henrik a point of focus, but it also clears the way for the rest of the squad. Since Rorschach is still under stealth, we'll go ahead and move him up a bit more aggressively. It's not quite as good as having a Reaper in our squad, but it should still be sufficient for our needs.
Already there. On your order.
We'll also bring the rest of the squad up near this door over here. That way we can breach the facility next turn. not quite enough places to stand, so I guess we'll park Deus right in front of the door.
De acuerdo.
Now let's get our guys on Overwatch just in case.
On Overwatch.
Oh, and obviously we're leaving Malachi up on elevation.
Overwatch.
Well, it's still pretty quiet, so let's go ahead and crack this door open and breach the facility. I guess we'll let Deus have the honors, since he's already standing in front of the door anyway.
The forces of the occupation.
It looks like we've triggered another pod, but I was expecting that. I'm also glad to see that we found the Andromedan, because I think those guys are ideal targets when it comes to mind control. They have powerful attacks, they're incredibly tough. You just have to be a little careful with them, because if they die, then they'll turn back into an enemy. Now let's go ahead and bring Henrik up. He won't be able to kill the Lancer on his own, but it's a good idea to have the invincible guy on point.
You will pay the price. Only the armor.
Now let's see if we can finish off that Lancer.
On the move.
Nice. That's 4 enemies neutralized.
Hostile terminated.
I think we've got 9 more that we still need to deal with.
Tired of waiting around.
Now let's just get the rest of our guys on Overwatch.
Moving to Overwatch.
Oh, right, Rorschach. I guess we'll have Rorschach keep scouting out the roof. There's probably at least 1 or 2 turrets up here.
Heading out.
Well, there's those turrets we were looking for. Oh, okay, I guess we've been spotted. Well, Rorschach could automatically take one of these things out with his Shredstorm cannon, but I'm not really crazy about leaving him in the line of fire. Let's just move him back out of the turret's line of sight. It's not like they can follow him anyway.
I'm on it.
Okay, let's start pushing the squad towards our objective there. There are still some pretty dangerous enemies on the board, so let's have the Andromedan take point. Oh my. A Gatekeeper and 3 Mutons. I guess that's what I get for increasing the difficulty. Well, let's start stripping off that armor. Okay, that takes off about half the Gatekeeper's armor, but that thing's still a veritable tank, so we're going to need to hit it with some more area attacks. Let's get Rorschach down here and he can put that Shredstorm cannon to use. I'm a little worried he'll accidentally blow up this forklift, but I guess we'll have to take our chances.
On your order.
Here goes nothing.
Gather round.
Okay, that seems to have worked out pretty well. Now let's bring Wojtek up here and we can hit these things with yet another area attack.
Heading out.
I think we'll just hit these things with a normal plasma grenade. That should let me take out a muton and... oh, actually, it's just out of range. I know there's another muton over there behind that terminal, but I can't be sure exactly where it's standing, so let's just hedge our bets and use our blaster bomb instead.
Better start running! Target neutralized.
There we go. That takes out 2 of the mutons and knocks the gatekeeper down to half health. We still need to finish off the gatekeeper, but let's see if we can take out this last muton while we're at it. Well, I was hoping to move I got into a flanking position, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I can actually do that. Not if I want to keep him in cover, anyway. I don't really have any other options here, either. Aside from Dome, the only other operatives I have to work with are Malachi and our elite trooper here. I guess we'll go ahead and bring our double agent up. I don't think he can really do much here, but we might as well take a shot. Oh, well, okay then. Oh, and we still have Deus, too. That makes this a lot easier. We'll just have him neutralize that muton with one of his powers.
No puedes ocultarte. Esto parece valioso.
Nicely done. Not only did that clear all the mutons off the board, but it also got us some extra loot. Now let's bring Purge Dome up, and hopefully he can finish off that gatekeeper.
Whoa! You see that?
I did see that. Good work, Purge. That takes out the 3rd enemy pod, so let's bring Henrik up and set him on Overwatch.
My watch begins.
And I guess we should start moving Malachi up as well. He's starting to lag a little too far behind.
Affirmative, covering now.
Things are still pretty quiet, but I suspect that's going to change as soon as we move Henrik up to grab that loot. We can always use more Elerium cores.
Menace 1-5, you're near the target position. Our oppressors are near.
And there's that pod we knew was lying in wait. Looks like a mech and an Archon. Oh, but it looks like there's another gatekeeper tucked back there too. Okay, we can probably take out this new pod without any problems. We just need to be careful about how we do it. We don't want to set off that other gatekeeper until we're ready to take care of it. First, let's bring WotC up. I'm pretty sure I can place a grenade just right to hit both the mech and the Archon. Yeah, there we go. Oh, okay. The targeting is getting really fidgety here. Come on. I know we can hit both of these guys with a grenade. We saw it just a second ago. In fact, if we can take out that floor, I'm pretty sure the mech is going to fall right on top of the Archon. Oh, thank goodness.
Heads down.
Okay, that was exhausting. But at least it paid off. Kind of. I'll admit I was hoping it would do a bit more damage than that. Oh well. Let's start carefully moving some of the other guys up.
On your order.
Looks like the Andromedan's got a pretty good shot. Nice. That's some solid damage there. Now let's bring Deus up, and he can wear down the Archon.
Parece factible.
And now we can have Henrik... Oh, shoot. Okay, well. I meant to use his pistol. Yeah, now we're in trouble. Now we're up against an Archon, a Gatekeeper, and 2 Spectres. There's no way we can take all 4 of these things out before the end of the turn, so we're probably going to be taking some serious damage in a moment. Okay, let's bring Rorschach up, see what he can do.
On the move.
Oof, no, we're definitely not taking that shot. Let's use run and gun to get him a little closer. I would like to tuck him into full cover, but I'm worried he won't have line of sight on the Archon from there.
Moving to position.
That thing's probably going to be our easiest kill. Of course.
Not even close.
Okay, Rorschach missed, but he still did a little bit of damage. And we can still use teamwork to give him another action.
Nothing to fear.
You have got to be kidding me.
Barely hit.
Okay, the Archon's still up, but Henrik will theoretically kill it with Blade Storm. Let's tuck Purge Dome over into the corner here and... right, that blocked off his line of sight to pretty much everything. I guess we could have him take out that Archon, but... let's look at our other options here. Wow, we do not have a lot to work with at this point. Alright, just give me a moment to think here. Right, let's go ahead and take out the Archon. There we go, and...
Want some more?
Henrik, I just need you to be invincible for 1 turn, okay? Okay, there's some minor damage on Henrik and Rorschach, and the Gatekeeper's taking 8 points of feedback damage. There goes Henrik's parry. Alright, Henrik. Not bad at all. I just needed Henrik to be invincible for 1 turn, and aside from that hit from the Gatekeeper, he actually did a pretty good job of it. Let's get Wojtek up here and start things off with a grenade.
Frag out.
That takes out a big chunk of the Gatekeeper's armor and puts one of the Spectres on the brink of death. Now let's bring Purge Dome out through the side door here and...
Here I come.
Yes, okay. He's got line of sight to the turret, so let's go ahead and use Haywire Protocol.
Taking control. It.
The odds aren't great, but we have to try to control it. There we go. Normally we'd have to wait a turn before we could start taking actions with a hacked target, but turrets can take shots immediately, so let's take out that Spectre. Nice. Now let's just, Okay, let's bring Malachi a little closer.
I'm on it.
He can do some decent damage to that gatekeeper with his pistol, but first we need to take off the rest of its armor. Let's see if we can reach it with the trooper's grenade. Not even close. Okay, let's try moving the Andromedan up instead. I'm pretty sure it can shred armor with its gun. Very nice. That's 2 more points of armor gone, and a solid critical hit. Rorschach might actually be able to take that thing out now. Let's move him over here.
On your order.
Huh. He's actually got a better chance to hit the Spectre. Whoa. Okay, well, I think things are going to work out after all. Now let's hit the Gatekeeper. Those Talon rounds are ridiculous. I think at this point that was actually all the enemies on the board, so all we have to do now is move up, plant the explosives, and call in the Sky Ranger. We're pretty much done here.
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges are armed. Move to the extraction point for immediate evac.
It is going to take a turn or two to get everyone to the evac zone, so we are probably going to have to deal with a reinforcement pod, but at this point that's really just free experience points.
On the move. Todo cubierto. Menace 1-5, be advised, we've picked up hostile reinforcements inbound on your position. On the move.
Alright, let's start shuffling everyone over towards the evac zone here. Then we'll set everyone on Overwatch so they can give the reinforcement pod a nice, warm welcome.
Let's move already. Moving to position.
We've still got that turret too, but I think the hacking wears off in another turn, so we'll need to make sure we're gone before then.
On Overwatch. Affirmative, covering now. Affirmative, covering now. Scanning.
Guns at the ready, men. Let's see what Advent's throwing at us this time. A mech, a shield bearer, and a trooper. Pretty standard. Now let's see how many of them survive the firing squad. Well, that was quick. The mech survived, but only because it decided to hold still and go on to Overwatch.
Be advised, we've picked up hostile reinforcements inbound on your position.
Okay, we've got more reinforcements coming in, and we're about to lose control of that turret, so I think it's time to leave. Of course, first we need to do something about that mech. Thank you, Deus. You can get back to the Sky Ranger now. Now let's follow up by... I guess Henrik could blade rush it and then use mobility to run back to the evac zone, but it's simpler to just shoot this thing with someone else.
Heading out.
Thank you, Rorschach.
Hit the armor. Let's go.
Now let's bring WotC to the evac zone and finish off the mech. And at this point, we just need to get everyone else to the evac zone. I guess we could try to take out this Andromedan just for the extra kill. But this mission has already gone a little longer than I wanted it to, so let's just get everyone out of here.
I'm on it.
I guess we might as well get some more use out of that turret. Ha! Oh boy. We just automatically destroyed that other turret by shooting the roof out from under it. On that note, I think it's time to go. So long, Andy.
Let's go. Evacuating the area. Heading home.
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges detonating.
The speaker commended loyal citizens today for standing up to those who would abandon our values for those of the old world. The remarks followed a moment of silence for peacekeepers slain by XCOM dissidents.
No level ups. That's disappointing, but unfortunately I'm pretty sure another side effect of legendary difficulty is lower XP gain. Oh well. Operation Sacred Smoke had gotten a little dicey at times, and 2 of our operatives had been badly wounded, but in the end our team had been successful. Another one of Advent's research facilities had been destroyed, and the Avatar project was once again in shambles. Though I had hoped that this would put a permanent end to the project, I wasn't particularly surprised to learn that Advent had at least 1 or 2 more secret facilities, hidden away in regions that were still just beyond our reach. Of course, given how rapidly we were expanding these days, it would only be a matter of weeks before we had spread our influence into Europe and throughout the rest of the United States. Advent was rapidly running out of places to hide, and even the Hunter seemed to know it. He was quick to distance himself from the rest of the organization, portraying himself as some sort of sociopathic loner who was just in it for the thrill. I think his intent was to intimidate us, but all he really accomplished was to make it clear that we were right to continue pursuing our current course of action. Ultimately, Blightwalker was little more than a bottom feeder, a parasite who was feeding on the war rather than taking part in it. If we actually wanted this war to end, then we were going to need to focus on something a little higher on the food chain.